and welcome back to Content Culture. It's your girl, Tomi.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are so excited to be bringing you, I feel like obviously the other episodes were real episodes, but this feels like we're in the meat now.
Yes.
We're on Apple Podcasts. Shout out. Hallelujah. Thank you, Ghost of Steve Jobs. But we're also here talking about the premiere of Katie Thurston's season of The Bachelorette. Now, before we jump into that, we have a couple of other things that we want to chat about today. But even before we get into that, Nicole, how are you doing?
You know, I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Tell me about your weekend. What did you do? I feel like we talk all the time, but we definitely need to share an update with the listeners.
Okay, so
about your video date.
Yes, this is a good place to share it. I was like, should I put this in my newsletter this week? Or like, where am I going to talk about this? Because I talked about the guy that I went on a video date with on our last episode. Mm-hmm. And I was telling Tomi it went really well. We thought this might be promising. We thought there was no chance he would ever end up in a newsletter. And that was the mistake I made, was that I said that. I was like, this has, like opportunity, promise, potential. And things went south so quickly. I actually texted Tomi and a couple of our other friends about this weekend, and they were like shook.
I was shocked. And I feel bad because I was pushing. I was like, oh, he's just nervous. All this stuff, give him a chance.
Right.
Oh.
I'm pulling up the text right now just so I can okay, so we were supposed to go out Friday night, and I just, at the end of the work week, I was like, I'm so tired. You know, we've been hustling, trying to get on Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We've been doing all these things. And so I was like, I'm just not feeling it. So I was like, hey, can we just postpone? He was like, yeah. So Saturday morning, I get up, I'm running errands as one does. And I get a phone call from a random number. And I think like most millennials, I just assumed it was spam and declined the call. Well, about 45 minutes later, he texts me and he says, sorry for the call. Calling felt exciting in the moment, but I now recognize it as a reckless thing no one our age should ever do.
Can I pause for a moment? I just thought that he was just making a joke, haha type of thing. But I think really in this moment is when he was like, I've done a terrible thing. Time to throw out all the things to try to win back my love for Nicole Green.
I think so too. At the moment, I was like, oh, he's being sarcastic and over the top funny. And I was into it because, I've said this here, I love a funny man. Humor can get you places, looks can't. I do believe that. But, so I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was you. I was driving, saw a call from Florida, assumed it was spam and declined. And he sends this meme, which we've had a debate. Is it really a meme or a reaction pic? I don't know. But it's like a caveman and it says, confused Unga Bunga. I'm just watching Tomi's face while I said this. So then I said... Yeah.
Because the reaction memes that she sent, I was like, how old is this man? Because it looked kind of like someone who is a boomer who is getting on Facebook for the first time. I was almost shocked he didn't use an ouch Charlie, bit my finger type of thing. Yes. That's how archaic it felt to me.
Right. And then I made the mistake because I was just trying to get out of this. I was like, this is getting kind of weird. Let me get out of this situation. So I just said, I mean, just a TikTok reference, which would not make sense to do towards someone that is using old Facebook memes. And I said, tell me that most of the phone calls you get are spam without telling me that they're spam. And he sent me a picture of a dog with a phone to its ear. And I didn't reply because I was like, we're adults, use your words. And then he said, unironically, I could use a phone chat if you're around, but it's not a thing I'd always be wanting / demanding. So here's where I have tendencies I don't like. So I am a people pleaser. I'm a reformed people pleaser, but
amen.
I need to be more assertive and standing up for myself sometimes. But in that moment, I thought, I think this man is insecure because I postponed our date and that was on me. And so I just need to like make him feel reassured that it's nothing he did. I just was tired. So I was like, okay. So I call him, and ladies, gentlemen, ladies, what happened is truly, I still can't believe it happened. So we're on the phone, and I call him, and he picks up and he says, hi, this is his name from the town and state he's from. Hi, Nicole. And I'm like, yes, I know it's you. And he tells me, I didn't sleep really well. And so I'm not feeling well. And I got some bad news. And I just wanted to amplify your voice, Nicole. And, and I just thought you would calm me down. And so I was like, okay, still thinking he's anxious because I postponed this date.
Right.
And if you listened, you can listen back to the last episode. I was like, the video date went well. So I was like, no red flags at this point.
And it was like an hour long, right?
Right. I did not get vibes that were like very strange. So I was just like, want to be polite to this guy. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, did you want to talk about like what's going on? Did you just like want me to talk about random things to take your mind off of it? And he said, actually, no. I'm going to ask you some questions and you answer them. And that's what we'll do. And so I was like, okay, thinking they're going to be normal, get to know you dating questions. Like, like, what do you do for work? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
what is your goal in life or something like that.
Yeah. What's your favorite, what's your favorite color?
Yeah. I mean, he did ask that. But he starts by saying, he says, what do you think about the NHL playoffs? And I said, I'm not really watching the hockey playoffs right now, so I really don't have an opinion on them. And he's like, okay. And he's like, well, what do you think about the NHL draft?
And you're like, baby, if I'm not watching the playoffs, I sure as hell don't care about the draft.
Right. But I didn't want to say that, but that's how my mind's going. And then I was like, well, I don't really have any thoughts about it. And he says, keep the NHL draft days marked off and we'll do something. I don't love.
That sounds like a threat.
Yeah, it does. I don't hate future talk, but like after one video date, I'm not like, let's make plans. Like, way in advance. This is a month out. Like,
especially for an event that you have just clearly said twice now that you're not interested in.
Right. So then the questions started coming, and you guys, it was a lot. So he says, have you ever had to fight off an assailant? Have you ever been in a fight? Have you ever stumbled onto a movie set and then made it into the background of the film? And these are coming rapid fire. I should clarify that. This isn't like
yes.
a conversation. I answer, I say, no, I've never fought off an assailant. Okay. So have you ever been in the background of a movie? Like very quick. Have you ever found out you're famous in a foreign country and didn't know it?
What is the time period from the beginning of, not necessarily like from the beginning of when you didn't first answer the call, but maybe from the second call? Like, was it like 1 minute? Like, how long was this entire exchange?
I was on the phone with him for 23 minutes for this whole conversation. So the intro, the chit chat was probably like 2 minutes at most.
And they said, let's get down to business.
And then he said, I'm going to answer some questions and you're going to answer them. And I was like, okay. So he asked me all those questions. I am texting my best friend about this, and she's like, sir, this is a Wendy's. And then she was like, wait, are you still on the phone with him? And I was like, yes. And she was like, you need to get off the phone with him. But while this is going on, I'm trying to redirect because now I'm kind of like, what is happening? At one point, he asks me, would you rather be an Ottoman sultan or a Byzantine emperor?
My God.
It made me kind of insecure. I was like, am I not smart enough to date in DC?
That they're, asking me about the Ottoman Empire, just randomly.
I might not be smart enough, but But so I tried to redirect and I was like, because I was like, this is kind of weird. I was like, so like, what are you like passionate about in life? You know, like, what are you serious about? And he's like, the housing crisis in Washington, D.C. I get really mad when I see single family homes. Okay. Okay. And then he's like, the other thing I get really mad about is when people are like dismissive of sports and they call it sports ball. It just makes me really mad. Okay. Before I can even like go back to anything, he's like, but I have some more questions.
I think what's most shocking for me is just the fact that, like, how can you go on a date with someone and not feel those vibes at all? Especially it being video. Like, it wasn't like he was nervous and it was just audio and, you know, whatever. It was more or less face to face. So what is it that spiked some type of nervous reaction, anxiousness that got to this point where it's like, I'm almost going to have to figure out ways to block so that I don't look through my windows at night and see you peering back at me?
Couple more questions for you, Tomi, before we.
Oh, please.
Have you ever accidentally filled your cereal with anything other than milk?
No.
Who's a minor character in American history that you admire? Not a president. I'm waiting. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
He asks all those questions. My friend says, get off the phone with this guy, Nicole. I cannot believe you're entertaining this. And I was like, you're right. And so I said, do you always ask dates this many questions? Or like, am I special? And he was like, no, I don't normally do this, but like, are you not enjoying it? And this is when I did do well in my people pleaser tendencies. I said, no, I'm not. Which took him down a peg. He was like, oh. And he was like, so you're not? And I said, no, I'm not. This is a lot. And he said, oh, okay, well, I guess I can let you go. And I said, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hung up, immediately called my friend. He texts me and he says, hey, it was really great talking to you. Sorry about all the questions. Star emoji. The use of the star emoji was just, it kind of threw me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't reply. I said questions are fine. Like, that's how you get to know people. But I was like, this kind of felt like when you're in elementary school and you have to fill out those questionnaires about all your classmates and you're rotating tables. And he was like, oh, okay, my bad. And like, my best friend was like, do you think he was like reading off a website or like from a book of like icebreakers or something? And I was like, maybe.
100%.
But it's kind of weird to do that the second date, not the first, right?
Right.
So, or like second time you talk, not the first. So, I was like polite. I kind of felt like a therapist for a second. Maybe it's good that I've been to therapy because he was like, I just was so tired and I felt bad and I needed to talk to someone. I said, that's totally fine. And I said, but I think in this situation, it would be better for that person to be someone that knows you better than I do, maybe a family member or a friend. And he was like, you're right. I'm so sorry. That's where we left it. So I'm taking my weekend nap. I pass out for a couple of hours. He texts me while I'm sleeping and says, so did you still want to hang out? I hope my questionnaire didn't ruin this. And so friends, I woke up and then had to read that text. And then it was very clear to me that I couldn't just listen. I'm not saying ghosting is right. I'm just saying sometimes I understand why people do it. I know everyone has an opinion. I know I'm going to get some DMs about this. You can DM me. Is ghosting wrong? I don't know. I don't think it's a black or white issue. We're going to talk about some more gray areas later.
Coming up, right.
But like, I don't think, like, everyone's like, ghosting's bad. I feel like a lot of my girlfriends are like, ghosting is so bad. And I'm like, if a guy's being creepy, I don't think I owe anything to him. I can just like block the number, move on with my life.
Protect your peace.
Yeah, because I had gone on this video date and talked to him on the phone, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell him, like, I'm not interested. So I took a couple hours and then I sent a text and I just said, hey, I think we have different interests and, I want you to find someone that's better aligned for you, that like loves hockey, that loves history, all of these things. And I sent it, didn't get a response right away. 30 minutes later, my phone rings. It's him. I have already decided I am not getting back on a phone call with this man. That is my win of this week. So I
Love those boundaries.
let the phone call ring all the way through, and then he texts me immediately after and says, "Hey, can we talk for a second?" And so I waited, and then I said, "I don't think we have anything to talk about." Or actually, I didn't say that. I didn't. He sent that, and I was like trying to figure out how I was going to reply. And he says, "I want to make sure I get this right." He says, "A lot of the hockey and history stuff was just a joke." I don't reply to that. "I have lots of other interests." I don't reply to that. "I respect whatever you want to do, but I just wouldn't want you to get the wrong idea about me." And so therapy has helped me. And so I said, "Thank you for respecting my decision. We talked this
Uh-huh.
morning. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about."
There you go, the 1-2 punch.
Boom, boom, boom. Because there's no way you could say, "Oh, well." And so then he said, "Okay, I'm really sorry about the morning. Thank you for your time. I hope you find someone great too." Um, and I've been surprised. I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna try and call me again or text me." He hasn't. So
And when was
I
that?
that was Saturday.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, it's still early, but I feel like he's respecting the boundary that I set. That was like, "Please do not contact me." But yeah, give me because I texted you about this Saturday night and was like, "You're never gonna believe this."
Yeah.
So tell the listeners like what you thought, what your thoughts
I mean,
are.
honestly, I'm shocked again because like I just truly could not believe it was the same person. And I told Nicole, I was like, wow, this just means that like my radar is off because I was like, no, this guy's just nervous. Stop, Nicole. You're being, such a hard ass right now. It's fine. He's a good guy. No, I fell for it. I fell for the thing that I feel like a lot of incelish people like to give online, where it's like they're very creepy and they kind of push those limits and then say, "Oh, sorry, I was feeling anxious. I was, feeling depressed, and you're the only thing that's keeping me going." And it's very manipulative. So, props to you for putting those boundaries in place, cutting it off where it needs to, and keeping it moving to the next swipe on Bumble. And I'm so sorry that you had to even go through that experience.
Yeah, I think I might take a little break from the good old Bumble. No, just a little bit. I just think I need some time to rebound a little bit. But there's never a dull moment. There's never a
Never
dull.
a dull moment. I think it's very fair for you to take a break. Well, I this weekend was taking very long breaks because I was sick. Will and I both had like a really intense sinus infection. We were supposed to go to Vegas for our second wedding anniversary and ended up canceling it because he was like starting to feel sick. And I was like, probably better because of all the like, time change stuff, whatever. It's just not going to work out. I started feeling sick and like we're just now kind of getting better. I'm probably sure I'm going to have a little hack moment here to one or two that I'm going to have to cut out from this episode. But we also went and watched A Quiet Place yesterday too. And did you see the first one?
I did not.
Ugh, this is really upsetting. It was honestly, I don't even like scary movies like that, people. But if you're into movies that are just like, oh, it's an interesting, I guess like idea. That's what drew me into it because I don't like jumping, I don't like being scared, whatever. And so the premise, if you don't know, A Quiet Place is basically just like these alien monsters have come and taken over the Earth, and they have like supersonic hearing basically where like if you fart they'll come and find you, so you better not. And it's like John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, and their cute little small family of kids, and they're just trying to figure out how to like survive in this post-apocalyptic world. And that was the first movie. In the second movie, I thought it was going to be like a true sequel,
Mm-hmm.
and it says part two, and I should have realized it is truly part two because like it starts basically right where the last movie ends. And
Oh,
then the end of the movie, like I just felt like there wasn't enough progression for me to have like we didn't really learn where these alien things came from. We didn't like there wasn't a lot of stuff of growth. So they definitely set it up so there's gonna be like more sequels, all that stuff, which is fine. Regardless, I would say like movie wise, it was a great movie, but not like the best sequel type of thing, if that makes sense.
okay.
There weren't enough answers in there for me to be like, oh, I feel complete like I did with the first movie. But that's, I mean, really all that my weekend has just been sickness in that movie. And I also, that movie made me realize, like, there are a couple scenes that I could see myself surviving with. Like some movies, like Zombie Apocalypse, I think I could make it. Maybe not towards, the very end where like they finally find the cure or whatever, but I could make it a couple months, perhaps a few years. A Quiet Place, I would be dead on day one.
Okay.
The way these allergies are set up,
Mm,
if I don't have my Zyrtec,
yeah.
my Claritin baby, I
Sometimes
just,
I'm double dosing on the Zyrtec,
right,
don't tell my doctor, but I'm
right.
popping pills. I'm like, oh, just to be careful. So I hear you.
Yeah, it'd be over for me. So I was like, yeah, it'd
Okay,
be me and the
guys,
oldie.
canceled the Vegas trip. Are we canceling or are we postponing? Are we planning a July
Mm.
trip maybe?
Well, I was going to, but then like we're trying to also do a trip for my birthday. There's a lot of travel things because I was like, listen, I need to catch up from 2020. This is the reason why we do not have kids right now or of any variety. I mean, plants, they're dying because we're like, whatever, but no pets because we want to be out there traveling. So we're like trying to, I don't think we're going to try and postpone it at this point just because I'm like, there's a lot of other things happening, especially like we're about to go and do our thing in Atlanta with some other people. And so I was just like, ooh, 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 surprise. And so I just didn't want to like have a lot of trips back to back to back to back. So hopefully I will go as an adult one day and not, the last time I went was when I was 14. And then I kid you not, people, I don't think I talked about this on the pod, but I've probably been to Vegas like 10 times. I
Wow.
swear to God. And the last time I went was when I was 14, if that tells you anything.
I've never been. I was shook when I watched your story and you're like, I've been there so many times. I've never been. It's somewhere I want to go as an adult. For those of you that don't know, Tomi and I have the exact same birthday. So I thought about doing that as a birthday trip, but I was like, it's going to be so hot, August. Um,
Mhm.
but I also feel you with the back-to-back travel because I realized next I'm out of town. I'm going to be in California this week for my cousin's wedding. Um, and then 2 weeks from now, I'll be in Atlanta with some friends, including Tomi. And then in the week in between there, I realized I have Friday off because the company I work for is observing Juneteenth. And so I very briefly was like, should I book a ticket somewhere?
Yes.
And then I was like, can I handle 3 back to back? And I was like, no, let,
Mm-hmm.
let me let me chill. Let me chill. Let me chill.
Yeah, I need like a solid like 2 weeks in between, I think, to take a full rest from the vacation.
Exactly.
Just
So
bougie girl things.
yeah, but if you are someone that can handle 3 back-to-back weekends, let me know your tips. Like I'm trying to go to that level, but the vaccine is still fresh, so I gotta
Yeah,
pace myself.
right. This is the peak performance time, baby. So like, let me go and have some fun. It's Shot Girl Summer. Pfizer gang, where you at?
Gosh. Okay, so should we talk some pop culture?
Let's dive in.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's start out with there's a new royal in town, and she is actually technically eligible to run for president of the United States. I don't know if you knew that.
Could you imagine President Lilibet?
I'm here for it. It's time for a woman.
Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor. First of her name. Mother of Dragons, here to slay. I loved how people were like, "Oh, I can't wait for her to pop out with this afro." Baby, where? I don't know why I keep saying baby. That's just my word of the day today. But this girl is now 1/4
Yeah.
of the black variety,
Mhm.
and even her mother, you know what, on a good day looks like something from the Cantu bottle. So I don't think it's happening for her. It's fine. She can have a nice little tan,
Right.
but
I would love to see Meghan Markle's natural hair. I feel like we have, and I feel like it's
yeah, it's like curly, but I think it's like 3B.
yeah. I feel like she's of the lighter skin.
Yeah.
And so her kids are going to be of the lighter variety, which I love.
Right.
We still welcome them in our community,
Come on
uh,
in.
but let's not make it out like they are, going to be like,
Yeah,
out there, Black Panthers,
right.
dark skinned. No, we're good.
Not that royal, but I am so, when I saw the name, like I literally gasped from joy.
Mhm.
I just want so many good things for them.
Yes.
Seeing them get all their, I don't even care that they're, millionaires getting more money. I'm like, good for them. You know what? Because at the end of the day, it's still F the monarchy. So
Yes.
if them, by them succeeding, if that, makes them upset, then good. Great. Give them more money.
We love
Sure.
to see it. We love to see it.
Ugh, I love it. I wonder if, do you think William and Harry had a conversation like when they were younger of who gets to use that name? Because I was honestly shocked that Prince William didn't use it for his little girl, Charlotte.
Yes, I wondered because I know, Kate has Diana's ring, and
Hmm.
originally when she passed, William got her watch, and Harry had her ring and was going to propose with her ring. But when William met Kate, he asked Harry for the ring, and he gave it to him. So I was like, a little weird. But yeah, I do wonder, like, if they're behind the scenes, did someone take custody of the name?
Yeah. Did they duke it out more or less? Because I feel like it's always been shown that Harry was the one closest to her.
Yes.
So I hope that he was able to like not have to fight about that because I think it works out so much better for that to be her middle name.
And I did see that the Queen, I know we said F the monarchy, but I did see the Queen has already FaceTimed and like seen a little bit. So I do love that.
I do. It's not necessarily, I mean, them as people, they have a lot of things about them, some qualities that could improve. It's more of the establishment as a whole
Right.
that we want to dismantle, but it is what it is. I also loved all the Black Twitter jokes talking about Lilibet, and it's like,
Yes.
I can't remember what one of
Just a
the,
little bit black. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
just a little bit
stop.
black. Just a little bit. I love it. It's supposed to be a nickname that the Queen uses as well for Elizabeth, so that's where they kind of got it from. Love the little family meanings all behind it.
I do love that.
I was,
Is your name a family name?
my name?
Yeah.
My middle name is Dio, is my dad's name. In Nigeria, it's a unisex name, so
Oh,
anyone can be a Dio. I guess all names are really unisex if you just put your mind to it. But
true.
um, yeah, no, not Tomi itself.
Okay.
But like with Nigerian culture, like names mean so much. Like you're never gonna find a Nigerian that's just like, oh, that's a nice name. I just thought I'd pick it. Like there's the books that you hand down through family of like these are what these names mean.
Okay.
Like you need to pick one of these specifically. It means like God is great. God is giving you success, favor, blessings, like all this stuff that you're bestowing on them because they know that like names mean so much. And so whenever I see people just kind of like throwing out these names here, like, I don't know. I'm not about to shade someone's kid right now,
Oh,
but
I
you know what I'm talking
would.
about. You know what I'm talking about, where you have Ashlyn Lay
Mhm, mhm.
spelled all different ways with random X's and Q's in there. I'm like, what possessed you to get there? Because when I'm giving my name to my future, I'm like, I want to set you up for greatness, for success.
I love that you are almost like manifesting your child's
Right.
future with the name. That's
Right.
beautiful. It's powerful.
Do what you gotta do,
Um,
baby.
Speaking of powerful, are you going to be watching any of the fights this weekend? The TikTokers versus YouTube?
I did not. I texted Will the link for the like this article talking about the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight because I was like, am I about to be a clown right now and purchase this? And he said, if you do this, like I will never forgive you. Because it's
Okay,
$50.
yes. So the one this past weekend with Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, I was like, definitely not going to buy that.
Yeah.
I found a free link online, so I did watch it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want anyone to think I didn't like waste my time on it. Like, I did watch it.
Right.
But
I was still scrolling through Twitter.
yes. And then this upcoming weekend is like another round of like TikTokers versus
Oh.
YouTubers. So like Bryce
Oh.
Hall and Taylor Holder and some other people. Some of the like hype house people are doing it. So
Interesting. The youths trying to capitalize.
you're getting
Good
money.
for them. I'm not going to pay attention. Really, the only reason was because I thought that we'd get to see a knockout happen. And I've been waiting for this man to be punched flat on his face for years now, probably since the Japanese forest thing that happened.
Yes. This is why
if
I
you
say
didn't know.
cancel culture is not real, because Logan
Right.
Paul and his brother have had like way more than 9 lives.
Correct. They've had multiple allegations of, just being like sexual harassment, verbal abuse. Logan Paul specifically, like a couple years ago, he went to Japan and there's a place called Suicide Forest that's known for people going and taking their lives there. And he was filming there, found a dead body, filmed it, put it up on YouTube, and was like, wow, look at this. This is so crazy. And I'm like, excuse you? People were trying to make this excuse of he was so young, he didn't know what he was doing. When you're just making content all the time for views, like you just lose the humanity of it. And I'm like, no. It takes someone severely emotionally distorted from reality to think that that is even close to being okay.
Right. I don't know how you think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get to that point. So I too was hoping it was going to be like a 1 round knockout, and it wasn't. But I kind of question if Floyd like went a little easy.
Oh, 100%. Because now that I read like all the facts and figures of the numbers behind said match, I'm like, oh, Floyd, I get it. Because honestly, I was like, Floyd, why would you do this? Because you lose so much if you end up on the ground somehow, even if you just like slip on some water. They're
Right.
going to use that forever. Be like, oh man, caught you slipping by a YouTuber, whatever. But apparently, Floyd Mayweather got $50 to $100 million from this one fight. A fight where he was just smiling the whole time, just dancing around. I'd be smiling too if I got a bag like that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And like Logan Paul, I don't think he ever made contact with him. Like he was trying to hit, but he never.
I think like one time he got like a little boop boop.
Okay, a little boop boop. But I'm like, someone could have hit me twice for $100 million.
Precisely.
I'd accept it.
I honestly thought Logan would have got more. I think it said something like he got $250,000 plus 10% of the pay-per-view earnings. So I don't know. I'm sure there's like a lot of merch deals behind it. And then a plus, like, I feel like because we are online a lot, we know his name. If you're not like extremely online, this is one of the first times you heard about him.
And how lucky you are.
Right. I do envy you for you to be so unaware. I also feel that too whenever I hear stuff about like anyone that goes viral on Twitter for being a horrible person. And they're like, wait, what? Who is this person? I'm like, oh, bless.
Must be nice.
A blessing and a curse to be constantly online. But yeah, for him to come in and even possibly just be knocked out and lose all sense of sight, smell, whatever from a punch from this crazy man, yeah, I would do it as well. So I'm sad that I gave as much energy where I was constantly refreshing Twitter, even though I didn't pay for it. But that's where we are now in society, where it's like a train wreck and you can't look away.
Every day.
Every day.
It's like, oh, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, which speaking of, I think one of the things too is like on Twitter, the saying is you never want to be the main character for the day on Twitter. Like just live your life, constantly kind of like engage with some content perhaps, but you don't want to be it. And who was it recently that shocked me to my core was cute old Ellie Kemper, who played Erin on The Office, also Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. She was the main character. It came out and this one Twitter account was like, surprise, she's a KKK princess. And I said, what? What? Nicole sent this to me and I was like, not my girl Kimmy.
Well, and then I was trying to find more info on it because we wanted to talk about it on the pod last week, but we were both like, we need to have a little more.
I need some context. I need some deep dives.
I was like, I basically need them to be able to like pull out the Venmo history and be like, here's where she got money from the Klan. And I was like, so we had that level of evidence. And
here's the rope that her grandfather used to,
exactly. Like I needed the names. And we couldn't find anything like that. It was just kind of like, there's a history there of racism with this ball. But I think it, like we were saying, it brings up a really good conversation around the gray area of life, because I think Twitter was so quick to jump to, she's a KKK princess, it's wrong, she's horrible, she's racist, like she's canceled. And there's layers to everything, right? So like, she grew up in a family that's very wealthy, and this is a ball that they had always gone to and likely had never questioned the history around it or the purpose of it.
Mhm.
Which she kind of talked about in her apology. She was like, I really didn't know. I was ignorant to that. And like, that's on me and I need to do better. But
Which, let me look up her family again. Do you remember? Like, her family has like famous bankers or something.
yeah, I wanted to say they were bankers, but
But
I
she's
don't.
from like the say Kansas City, Missouri area, essentially. It was very interesting to go to her Wikipedia and read like her pedigree of like, oh, she went to Princeton, and then she also studied at Oxford. Oh, her father was the chairman and CEO of what was Commerce Banks, basically. And then like if you go a lot of buildings in the St. Louis area is like Kemper like is on the building. So she got that money, honey.
Good for her. I mean, good for her.
Sure.
I'm happy when people have a bag. Um, but can we like talk about that? Because I think people there we're going to talk about cancel culture a little more later, but there's this thought that cancel culture is very like black and white. Like you take one step out of line and you're canceled. You're done. It's over. That's it. But like I think there really are layers too. And I'm not saying go become a KKK ball princess by any
Mhm.
means to anyone, but I think there's a difference between being ignorant to something and not knowing the history of something and being someone that knows the history of it or joins one of these organizations, right?
Yeah, and I think also like, the time of like where you are in life as well. I mean, she did this when she was 19. The ball was called like the Veiled Prophet Ball. And if you're in the South, there's a lot of debutante like balls that happen when you're around that age. And something like you look forward to. They have them in different societies. I mean, I think it's always interesting to know that they have them for black distinguished groups and white distinguished groups should already tell you that. I don't know. I'm assuming about this one specifically. It also has a very storied history of who they allow in, and then I know there were stories of people trying to like sneak Jewish guests and stuff in, and that was becoming like a huge thing as well too. And then she was crowned. What was it? I wrote it down. She was crowned the Queen of Love and Beauty. So she was like, "Oh, you're the prettiest of the racist people here." And I think also like I hate when people use the KKK as the litmus test of racism because first of all, like the KKK were considered the rednecks of racist society. Like they didn't necessarily want to be associated with them because they were considered the poor whites. They were considered people who were not in these like, great places of power. So of course they're the other people who have these, you know, extreme institutions of wealth and just like access anywhere in their cities. They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, we're associated with the KKK, like we're just like them, it's just a different name." No. Like they just know how to be a little bit smarter about it. So just because it's not necessarily KKK doesn't mean it's not racist. Obviously, there's still going to be like those ties to racism and prejudice. But I think her doing that at 19 versus like I don't know, being on the board now or like continuously like giving money to it, like it's a very type different situation, especially when that is your family, like and you're entrenched in it. Like, do you even know anything else at that point?
Right. I feel like exposure makes such a difference. I think that's why you see people go away for college and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my gosh, everything that I was taught or like this is the way it is, like maybe this isn't the way it is." And like people's minds open up. So
Mm.
I think like you said, like we have to have grace for people to learn and to have those experiences. We also need to understand too that like people from marginalized groups are still in pain. It doesn't matter, like,
Right.
if someone didn't know better or not, it's still a painful experience. But I think there is some compassion to have for people that we're always like learning and growing.
Yeah, and I think that's also too talking about how people of color, Black people, are like still in pain when it's happening, and like with this specific instance too, like who did she like inflict pain on from participating in this? You know, um, it could have been those communities. Like we have seen the type of racism that I mean is everywhere in the country, but specifically Missouri, like Ferguson, like all of that stuff. Like so we know how intense it can be. So I would highly doubt that she wasn't aware of anything when it comes to race. But I was honestly thankful for this story to come forward because I think it does allow us. So what I really just like from this story, I like obviously it was probably very she didn't enjoy it that much when it came out and everyone's like burn her, but I enjoy these stories because I think it allows us to have these conversations about holding people accountable. The fact that cancel culture is not a real thing, but having the space to learn and grow and figuring out how we can continue to do better in the future, you know?
Right. And like you said, like giving people space to grow,
Yeah.
because no one is going to get it right 100% of the time. Like, I know I'm not going to get it right 100% of the time. I'm definitely going to mess up.
Yeah. Definitely. Which is something that I feel like as we get into this next topic, Chris Harrison
Mm.
should have really understood. And can I just say, I am so happy that we record when we do so that we could talk about this on the podcast today because, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, Chris Harrison is officially out after 19 seasons of the Bachelor franchise. He is no longer the host of the show.
Yeah. So he has been the host for 19 years, done all the seasons really until
Yeah,
now.
I said 19 seasons, 19 years.
I put that first two, and then I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, he's done Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelor, Bachelorette. He's been the main guy. There was kind of a question mark. Last week, the news was that he wasn't going to be hosting Paradise. They were going to bring in David Spade and other comedians and celebrities to host.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me was kind of like a sign, because I was like, you can't have someone else do that and then bring him back for Michelle's season, right?
Right. Not at all.
So I was like, the optics aren't good. So I was like, something is going to happen. And then this morning it broke that, they were going to announce it today. So I believe they have announced he's getting an 8-figure payout, which let me just say, I would love if someone wanted to pay me 8 figures to retire.
Correct.
Personally.
I'm
ready. If anyone's listening and they're like, I hate this podcast, like, just let me know. Email my people. Yeah, I'll let you know. I can give you a discount. But he did sign an NDA, so he's not allowed to talk about the terms of the deal. What we don't know that I'm interested to see, will he still get his executive producer credit?
That's what I want to know.
Because I believe there is some money to be had there. But I was shocked. I won't even lie. Even knowing it was coming, I texted Tomi. I said, "Oh my God, Chris is out."
That was it. No link, no whatever. But I was like, all right.
I was like, here's the link. She was like, okay.
Yeah, I think with me, like with every season of it being pushed back more, I was just like, we talked about like, if he's not there for Katie's season, what it means. If he's not there for Paradise, like that pretty much solidifies it. So it makes sense that they waited until after premiere so it didn't kind of got drowned out from, the hype of the beginning of the season. I'm not shocked that it happened because I feel like he was already on the way out. I think he probably would have done a solid 20 so he could have had the nice round number and then been done. And I feel like for ABC, it was like, why will we put up this fight to bring him in just when like he's about to retire anyway? So like we don't want to re-sign him to something else, have to pay him more when he's about to, be pushed out. And it's just interesting from this whole experience, like how he just did it to himself. It was so unnecessary for him to come out here and defend Rachel Kirkconnell for her statements, for stuff that she did in her past, vehemently, and act that way towards Rachel Lindsay on that extra interview, and just to be in this predicament now. So,
right, like it would have been so easy. Here's the thing: if you stay in your lane, you're not gonna have problems. Like if he had just gone into that interview and said, Rachel Lindsay, I don't know enough about Rachel Kirkconnell's stuff. I don't really have a comment right now. I want to wait to hear from her. Blah, blah, blah. I can't verify that these pictures are real. Whatever it is, something like that. I mean, I would have laughed, but he could have said something like that and just said, I don't want to comment on it until Rachel has a chance to like speak her mind. We wouldn't be here right now. He would still be the host. He would have hosted last night's episode. But because he was like, for whatever reason, woke up that day, chose violence, and decided to go on there and be like, I went to frat parties that were racist.
So did 50 million other people. And I'm like, what are these numbers, sir?
I'm like, there aren't 50 million people in Greek life.
Even in college, like, what? It's too much.
It's fine. We're gonna overlook it. But I was like, it would have been so easy for him to just be like, oh no, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he like I don't know Chris Harrison, but maybe he went to some racist parties when he was in college. He literally was not going to get canceled for that. He just, all he had to do was say, I don't have enough information to make a statement right now.
Yeah.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum.
I think it was less about even what he said. It was just more of how he said it. Like, they always say that, of how it felt like how he was attacking Rachel. Like, she was the one personally responsible for you and all your black people over on higher learning.
Right. And then he started
after me.
Right. Calling her the woke police. All of those things. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, you know what, Chris? Go with God. And I'm interested to see, do you think that Lauren Zima, his current girlfriend who works for Entertainment Tonight, I believe, she also had her own Bachelor-related podcast, which she has not updated or posted about since, this whole debacle happened within February, March. Do you think that they stay together following this news?
I'm really curious, because I thought at first, I was like, she's not going to be seen with this man. And she has been since then. So
which makes me think she's in it for the long haul.
Yeah, because the way my life is set up,
right,
I'd be gone.
Yeah,
I'd be like, what man? Him? I don't know him. I don't know that man. Keke Palmer. But yeah, I do think I think she may be in it for the long haul with him, which we do love here, but we don't love with dumb people. So
listen, you say that. She says that, people, but for me, truly, no. Like, if you felt
I don't love love.
Right. I'm just saying, like, if my partner, if Will did something like that, I'm gonna come out and say something. I'm gonna come out and then I don't agree. Now, I'm not saying you have to break up, whatever. But I want people to know, like, that is not me. That's not my ministry. So if you don't have an issue with it, then of course, yeah, you're going to keep quiet, stay in your little bubble so that you can continue to be this, like, power couple that you think that you are. Use his influence to keep getting your, like, perks and whatever.
It is very strange to me that she never made a statement. Like, she still has just not acknowledged it to this day.
Yeah, she's like, whatever. Anyway, child, let's get back to
right. I think us as women of color, like, the relationship might be over, but like, she, like, especially if I were not married to this man, I'd be like, bye. Right. But she's just like, it kind of talks to, like, what do they call it? Like the white feminist power of, like, just being able to be like, oh, well, that doesn't impact me.
Right. I didn't agree with it, but it is what it is. Let's move on.
I can't change his mind.
Love and light. Yeah. So, Chris, goodbye. Bachelor in Paradise. Hope we see some even more fun celebs coming in. We saw David Spade. We saw Wells and Sarah Hyland. Have we seen anyone else announce? I haven't seen anything.
I haven't. I think those are the two I've seen. Chris, please say your goodbyes. You did not get a rose tonight.
Take a moment.
Cry
on the way out with your little exit interview.
Mm-hmm.
But crying all the way to the bank with those 8 figures, so he will be fine. It's the way that I know he's going to have, like, a Fox News show by, like, next week. If he wants to rebrand, he just needs to go the full route. We'll see.
Lean into it.
Yep.
Shame. Awful. But true, unfortunately. Speaking of Chris Harrison, how much did you love our new hosts of The Bachelorette last night?
Can I just say, what a breath of fresh air it was to have them. Queens, Tayshia, Caitlin, we love you. I remember when the Chris Harrison stuff, like, first happened, that I wasn't necessarily saying, like, he would have this big void, but I felt like, oh, it's gonna be weird. You need to have someone there who's, like, a mentor role. I feel like it has to be a man because I'm a sexist pig. because it doesn't work with women. I was completely wrong. I'm so sorry. I mean, honestly, it'll be interesting to see from a Bachelor perspective of how that'll work, like who will be the host, if it needs to be like a man or a woman. But in this, I think it worked so well for Katie to have like this girl gang of them like just hyping her up. You know, when you come in the group chat and you drop your little outfit before you go on your date and they're like, yes, girl, yes, heels, yes, hair, come on, lashes, work. Like, that's how it felt. And I can only imagine like how nice that was on such a, I'm sure, a night that was filled with nerves to have that type of encouragement there for her.
Yes. So when they announced that those two would be taking over as, and I don't think they wanted to call them hosts at first. They were like, they'll be mentors to Katie, but hosts. I was like, oh, that'll be interesting. I don't know what'll happen, because I think I kind of thought about like when they bring previous leads in on like Klacia's season, and like Rachel showed up and she talked to Tayshia for a little bit, and that was it. And that was always thought. I was like, oh, kind of boring. But I also like don't think I realized how boring Chris Harrison was on this show until we saw Tayshia and Caitlyn coming in. It, like you said, breath of fresh air, so much energy. I was like, I love it here.
Definitely.
This girl power, this sisterhood, this popping the champagne, this talking, them watching from the window as the men came in.
Popcorn.
I was like, I want this for every Bachelorette season.
I felt like this season already feels like I've been transported back in time to when The Bachelor felt like this just nice, like lighthearted show where I was like, ooh, will they fall in love? Who could know? Like, we'll get into it, but the fact that she eliminated a lot of the people who were like the quirky people who, like, producers love to keep on for drama and just to be like eccentric and whatever, I was like, oh, this is going to be very interesting. I think we're going to have some real love story type of rom-com situations happening. And I, for one, cannot wait.
I'm so excited. I was a little nervous about this season.
Yeah.
But I'm thrilled now. I'm all in. Yeah. I want to say I'm all in. I'm ready. I'll be there every Monday. I mean, I already was going to be there every Monday, but I really will be there every Monday now.
Can I just say, though, it reminded me again after seeing Tayshia up there of how we got to this point of Katie being the lead when she was like, whatever place on Matt's season. They didn't even like mention Matt at all really in her like intro package, because I guess they're like, oh, the chemistry, we can't even really see it, so we're not going to pretend and put it out there for people to see. But for there to have been like a Black woman or a person of color to be in this lead position, they have to be twice as good. They have to be a hotshot lawyer. They have to be a literal 10 bombshell like Tayshia. To where there's like, hey, I'm Katie, and I had a dildo when I came out of the limo, and I guess it was funny enough, so here I am now. I'm happy for Katie, and I think she's gonna have some like really funny, like dorky vibes, whatever, of just like being very like approachable. I feel like Hannah B tried to do that, but I think because she was like a pageant person, you can only go so far.
It's like, how are you if you were like Miss Alabama?
Right. But with Katie, like, oh, I feel that, like, she's loving her cats and all this stuff. So I'm still going to be excited for the season, because I mean, I think she'll do a great job, but we can very clearly see what that difference is and what those standards are of how they keep pushing that litmus, or they keep pushing I want to say, why litmus? It's, I guess, a word with the L, but the standards for what they would put on someone who is a Black woman versus a white woman.
Agreed. I thought it was interesting that Matt was not mentioned at all. I also thought it was interesting, and this is the last thing we're going to say about him, is that they did not even acknowledge Chris Harrison.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, these are our new hosts. It was just like,
here's ladies.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I was down. I was like, I don't want to hear like a long story of why he's not here. Like, they were just like, here's Tayshia and Caitlyn. They're going to be our new hosts.
Which I think that was the best way to do it.
Yes. I did have written down to ask you, because Katie, we see her intro package. She's like, I'm the new Bachelorette, blah, blah, blah. We see her in New Mexico, and she's getting ready, and she says, I'm really nervous because I think I'm doing this by myself. Do you think that she didn't know? Because I started thinking about it, and I was like, time-wise, I was like, I guess technically she could have not known, but I was like, I feel like she had to have known.
Yeah, because the stuff that she was like tweeting out, talking about like, I don't know, there were theories out there saying that Katie's tweets that were saying like, oh, Chris Harrison's not going to be the host, helped solidify him not being the host, because they're like, oh, we can't go back on this now because the lead said something. So I think she was definitely privy to those conversations before filming, because if I was the lead, I'm like, I need to know this, because if not, that's like going to be the shitstorm that surrounds at least the beginning part of my season, because it's still kind of following in from this other part. So yeah, they definitely knew. They did that little cute little acting session, and now I'm like, okay, so what else has been acted out over these past few seasons that we didn't know and just assumed?
I wonder if they had told her it was going to be someone that wasn't Chris Harrison. Or I wonder if she said it, they said it's going to be a former Bachelorette. They didn't say it's going to be 2 or whatever. But
I would say, I think they told her because of the fact that she's a super fan. So if that was like her first time meeting Caitlyn and Tayshia, I think she would have like freaked out a little bit more of like, oh my God, instead of just being like, haha, it's you guys. I'm so excited, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think.
Okay. Did you have any favorite entrances?
I don't know if I had any favorite entrances. And I know you guys are probably listening to this podcast and you're like, you guys are almost at an hour and you haven't even talked about this freaking show that much. But that's because, like I said, like the drama was kept to a minimum. There wasn't that necessarily like someone like pulling in and saying like, oh, I want to steal her like the moment. That didn't happen out of the gate. So I loved like how quick we got into the limo entrances and just like got right down to it. I think I'm going to have to eat my words here towards the end of the season. My final 4, I'm going to have to switch it up a little bit. I'll get to that later on. But there was a moment on the last podcast episode where I said that I don't think she's going to end up with a black man. Ladies and gentlemen, I might have to eat my words. I might have to eat my mother flipping words. And I am so sorry, Andrew S. Baby, I discredited you. I did not give you the respect that you deserve as the king that you are. Quoting Bridgerton?
Okay. Yes. Okay, I was going to say the Bridgerton moment. Okay.
My knickers are on the floor, babes.
Yeah. No, I was like, this is Clay's cousin. I'm not interested. And then I was like, maybe I am interested.
She's from the
maybe
smooth side of the family. That's what S stands for.
You always know. So loved him. And then we were convinced when we went through the men that there would be like no chemistry with Trey, even though we loved him. And
he was hilarious. And I'm like, oh, this guy, I think he already has, I think we'll 100% see him in Paradise.
We were like not sure. I think we said we were like, hopefully he gets to make it to the sand at some point, maybe for like a day or 2.
Yeah.
He will be at Paradise.
Yeah. They're both amazing. Loves their energy, and like I'm excited to see more from them. I'm trying to think here. Let's talk about Catman with Connor B.
I was about to bring this up.
First like intro package with him. I'm kind of shocked that he has this like musician pivot, because that's not what I thought he would have. So do you think it's gonna be like a Jed situation? Is he there for the right reasons, Nicole?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think the fact that he quite literally wore the cat costume with the furry mittens and the face paint, I think he is there for the right reasons. I was not into it, but I am not a cat lady.
Yeah.
Katie clearly is. So I was shocked he didn't get the first impression rose, to be honest.
Same. It's the moment that she was like, oh, I really like him, turned around, gave like the 2 thumbs up when he walked out. That was like, our tastes they're nowhere close to the same atmosphere. The Venn diagrams, they don't touch. 2 completely different circles. But I'm happy for her in this journey, because that would not be it for me. Sorry about it.
And then the guy in the box
was James.
Cute.
He was cute, but I almost feel like you have to be, if you're going to pull a stunt like that. You have to know what you're working with, because if you step out and you're just like a 5, that's like, oh, you wasted everyone's time here, bro.
It's like, no wonder you were in the box, you know?
Right. Get back in there. There was a moment where I was like, oh, wait, what if this is the SNL skit thing? And you know, where they did like, it's my dick in a box? Like, I was like, what if they were doing that? That would be really funny. It didn't happen. I also thought the Connor Cat thing was going to be more sexual. That also didn't happen. But I enjoyed the box because it gave some intrigue, and it will kind of help solidify the fact that you'll definitely be there for more than 1 week. So it's smart.
Yes. You've got to do a gimmick. Although the RV guy, I believe, was sent home.
He
So I was going to
was.
say, you've got to do a gimmick, but it's got to be the right gimmick.
It's got to be the right gimmick. Let's talk about let's get into I'm trying to think if we want to do I have a couple intro package notes.
Okay.
One of them being about Greg before we get to his like actual limo exit. It felt very strong here of the intro package with the nieces and nephews. He's playing with kids. He was one of those that said, like, I want a bunch of kids. I'm like, it makes sense. I said, oh, they have to have a big family, and he does have a big family. So I'll accept it. But it felt strong Bachelor or, top 2 vibes out of the gate. Out of the gate, people.
Listeners, I do want to say, because I have gotten some messages about this, I stand by the fact that the cast photographer should be arrested for war crimes, right?
Straight to the guillotine.
Did not make any of these men look good for the most part. There were like 1 or 2. And a lot of these men got out of the limo and I was like, oh, he's cute. Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's cute. Greg is better looking than I thought based off the cast photo. If you go to his Instagram, it's a good looking guy.
Is there a butt anywhere in there?
I have him in my top 4. There's something I don't like. But I got creepier vibes. I was more concerned about Mike.
It's
the baseball virgin.
And it's funny, he was the one I was debating putting in my top 4 over Andrew M. And who can know? I think he might make it a little bit further, but we will see. But why don't we just start off with the limo exit? So we had Thomas as the first out of the limo. Okay. It's pretty average.
Yeah.
Aaron stepped out, and I wrote down, this man is a lot browner than I thought he was.
Yes.
I thought he was just tan, but I'm like, oh, is he like
a man of color?
A man of color. Perhaps. So really this season, like, maybe there's a lot more diversity than that we're about to see, because I think a lot of the people she kicked off were, I mean, not a lot, but definitely some 50-50-ness. Not as intense as some other seasons we've seen where it's like dark-skinned baddies to the left. Sorry. Paperback test here only.
Right. So I was excited. I thought it was all cute. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like they all were cute. Katie was so excited. The men seemed excited to meet her. Caitlin and Tasha were cheering in the background, yelling, hyping her up. I love that too.
What did you think of Trey's entrance with jumping out of the balls and stuff? Because she's a baller bachelorette.
I thought the pun was a little, but he's cute,
right?
And she loved it, and that's all that matters.
I think the pun left some to be desired, but you have to do this gimmick where I think it's great. You can come back to it later on in the evening. Like last season, we had Kayla with the pickup truck. You could come back and create your own little special moments because you have to like really stand out when there's 30 or 29 other people here. So I loved it that they could go back in there and they were like chatting and he was asking her about middle names and all that stuff.
Right. And I think she said, I didn't expect to get be in a bunch of balls on my first night. Mm-hmm. It was cute. And it was definitely cute with the wine and them talking. So I was like, you know what? He's thinking in 4K.
Yes. I'm trying to, for Greg's exit, did you feel like you felt something right as he were interacting? Because I did not.
No. The only person that I was like, oh, about John.
Yes.
John, when he got out of the limo, it wasn't like when he walked away. He got out of the limo and I was like,
my jaw dropped.
I was like, first off, John, why didn't I put you in my final 4?
I said, drop the skincare routine, bro.
He looks great. And then he walks over, he talks to her, he says he's nervous. It's been like a dream. They're holding hands. He starts walking off and she's like, that's my type. And I was like, oh. She said to Greg, she was like, he looks like my ex.
Right.
Red flag.
That's my type. That's my type. But with John, I was shocked to have that strong of chemistry, and they don't
Mhm.
really show him at all throughout the rest of the episode. So I was like, is this a classic Bachelor move where they like to kind of sometimes hide
Mhm.
the final person to kind of like build up this intrigue, create this like longer drawn out story? But then in these promos afterwards, there weren't like any scenes of them like kissing or having dates. So,
True. So I'm like, does he not make it very
and if
far?
so, then I'm shocked because seriously, it felt like like I felt like I could feel it through the screen.
Right. Like I was like, this might be first impression rose. It wasn't.
It was not. It was not.
But I was like, oh, do we have something here? So that was interesting. Yeah, Greg, I really did not feel the chemistry until they sat down and he gave her the
Yes.
necklace from his niece, and then I was like, okay, this is cute.
Yes, yes, yes. Very cute. I will say with Greg, she grabbed his face when he was like, "Oh, I'm like, I hope I'm not the only one person nervous," and that was the only person that she like really initiated some type of like physical contact with as a limo exit thing. There was Gabriel, who was from Charlotte. We don't claim him, who initiated the like tantric hug thing where it's like, "Oh, let's hug for a little bit and just like feel each other's heartbeats and whatever," and it was too weird. Don't do that. I don't know why people like to try and do these little hug things every time because it's so
Mhm.
uncomfortable if you don't know them. This is the first time you're meeting them. Like,
Is he the guy that like hugged her and they like breathed together?
yeah, yeah, that's not
I
for
didn't like that at
me.
all.
And I think that was also to his detriment as well.
Yeah, I was creeped out.
All
I
right,
don't want anyone touching me like that.
you know who we need to talk about?
Who do we need to talk about?
The zipper salesman, Cody. Tasha says
Came out
he's
with
so handsome for her. And then the next line was like him talking about, oh, he brought a little
Mhm.
friend. And I know I thought if I didn't see the promos, I would have thought it was a dog. But of course, it
Yeah,
was in fact a sex doll.
yes. I did like that he like basically recrafted her exact entry. Like he
Mm-hmm.
used the same wording and everything, but I was like, how many times are we going to like lean into this whole thing of like Katie being sex positive? Like every episode? 3 times every episode?
I'm not even mad about that. I think for me, you have to know the difference between sex appeal and just being like a weirdo. There's being a freak in the sheets and there's just being a freak, you know? Like, you don't have to.
Yeah, like he's bordering on that like creepy line. It's not like, ooh,
Right.
it's like I'm kind of sketched out. I'm kind of like blocking your number. I don't want you here. I'm gonna send you home.
Yeah. I honestly, as I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so what could have been something that a man could have brought that was the equivalent of what she did on Matt's season? And I kind of, what if someone brought like a chest, like a sex toy chest thing?
Is it empty?
I don't know if it's empty or not, but you're more of just like you're my something about like you're being the priority or something. Because with a sex doll, that's not something you can like enjoy to. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there who can, but can you do that together for real? It
Man,
doesn't land the same way, you know?
no, it doesn't. And I think that's what you have to realize is that like if you're a man coming on this, if you're a heterosexual man coming on this show, it's the joke's not going to land the same.
Right, right, yeah, and I mean that's true too. I think it's just the creepy factor of it being a guy versus a girl.
Yeah,
Maybe there is just no equivalent
yeah. Like we talk about like there being a double standard. We talked about this last season with like Katie's date with Matt was like they were telling the
with
massage therapist
massages. Yes,
how to touch Tyler C. Like that would not fly if Tyler C were a woman.
you're
Like there
right.
are some things that we as women can do that are do not come across as creepy that would be very creepy if a man did.
And he just unfortunately had to learn that the hard way.
Yes, he did.
Yikes! Sorry, sir. What is the skin salesman who had the RV? What is his name?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let me look.
Found it. Jeff.
Okay. Okay, he is home.
Yes. So, what do you think could have helped Jeff with his own delivery? Because really, he had all of the right things. He had the prop coming out of the limo of the big RV. He got the alone time special and put away. He's not like, I mean, he's not for me, but he's not the most unattractive person.
I think he needed to plan that alone time better, taking her
Yes.
back to the RV. Now, we just said how Trey did it well. Like he took her back to the ball pit. I think there could have been a way to take her back to the RV and had it be like a cute moment. But he took her back to the RV and it was dirty. She said that he was tossing around his dirty boxers. He starts eating celery in front of her. She goes to sit down. He says, "Oh, wait, let me like pick up right there." To me, I'm looking at that. I'm like, this is a man that can't clean. This is a man I can't marry. Goodbye.
Right. I'm like, you didn't have like some drinks or something for her, or like have like a beautiful ambiance, like nothing. Like you
Like,
were able to create like your
go
own set, and you did nothing.
Right. It should have been, the inside should have been decked out like a nice, you could do a nightclub theme. You could do like a very elegant restaurant theme. So you're like, you've got pasta, you're going to Lady in the Tramp it up. You're going to suck on this noodle and kiss in the middle and all those things. We could have done that. We could have a little champagne moment, roses.
Make her a producer, guys. Look at these just examples coming out.
Instead, he said, here is a reenactment of my freshman dorm room.
Oh. Yeah.
Dirty socks are on the floor.
Yeah.
Boxers are everywhere. Might be used condoms in here.
Oh,
my bad.
God.
I was disgusted. Someone whose gimmick I thought was really cute. I can't remember his name. You'll be able to tell me. The artist guy.
Justin. Woo!
First off, the talent. He was painting those roses, and I thought, did a producer do this or did he do this? But I think he did them, and I was like, Justin, honey, you don't have to be here. Justin, you can be at an art fair this weekend.
I did not even remember him from our cast breakdowns. Did you?
No.
And he's talking about, pent-up frustration. We can stroke. Lord Jesus.
Not creepy. We were talking about what's creepy versus not creepy. It was not, he did it in a way where it was borderline, but it wasn't creepy. And then he was like telling her when they spoke privately, he was like, I've got this heart rose and I'm hoping I can fill it in with you over time. It was perfect. He nailed it. Nailed it.
I think that was the best way to like do your innuendo, still relate it back to you so she can remember a little bit more about you. Like, oh, Justin the painter, because he whatever. Genius. And they were the first kiss, I believe, of the night. Unless, I mean, it could have been edited differently, but it looks like they were the first ones to have a kiss.
Right. Loved that.
And I think we saw 3 to that last night.
Greg, Justin.
Catman.
That Catman makeout was spicy. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, again, I was about to say, I could not.
I'm happy for her, but like she put on the fur mittens too, so I know she was into it. But I was like, are we furries? Like they showed that a little bit in the preview, but I was like, are we furries? Like this is giving me a little. I don't love it.
It was too much for me. But can you rate them? Like who was the best kiss of the evening?
I've got to say Catman, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
She had whiskers on her face after.
Which makes it interesting that she gave it to Greg. Does this mean that it just was not as good of a kiss that we think?
I thought that too. One of our Instagram followers messaged me and she said, do you think that she wanted to like make both men feel validated? And she felt like the kiss with Catman was so intense that he was validated, and then Greg was so nervous that she was like, let me validate this man too. I don't know.
Fascinating thoughts. Who could know? I will say yes, the people that do you have that list handy of who went home?
I do.
So in addition to
last night,
sorry, go ahead.
Last night we lost 7 soldiers. We lost Austin, who actually had a good limo exit. Like when he came out, I thought it was decent. Yeah. Brandon, the RV man, or no, that's not RV man. The man with the floppy hair.
Yeah, he came on a moped from New York, auto parts manager. Tragic.
We had Gabriel, your boy from Charlotte,
Queen City,
who we thought might be a villain.
Yeah, that was wrong. Sorry.
Jeff with the RV, Landon with the curly.
Yeah, I was shocked
blonde.
that he was gone. And there was a part in his little exit they talked about. He said, like, oh, I hope I'll be able to make you smile all night. I remember from his bio that his nickname was Smiley or Smiles or something like that.
Sunshine or something.
Sunshine. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, he must have said something to that effect. And they cut it out. Barely showed this guy. I'm like, sucks. Because, I mean, again, you were a little too Wonder Bread for me, but you seem more of like the type that's on the show.
Very, like, someone that would thrive in Bachelor Nation.
Yeah.
Someone that I had in my final four, which is Marcus.
Yikes. How do you feel about that?
I have a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. He's a good-looking man.
He's adorable. I think he was gone way too soon.
I want to know why she didn't keep him.
Same. I think it must have been a nerves thing because when they kept talking, he was just like, but yes, I definitely would have kept him over some of the other people above.
Yeah. And then the last person that was sent home last night was Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we're both comfortable with.
Yeah. He was bringing out his crystals. Too woo-woo for me. He was saying, like, here's my soda light, here's my pyrite, and I really wanted him to say, like, and here's my Pedialyte, like, and then he didn't. So it is what it is.
I thought Katie might be into it. She does seem like someone that maybe would appreciate crystals, but I was like, this is a lot to, like, bust these out the first night.
But I think she sent a good group of guys home, the ones that, like, you know, shows that she's not messing around. She's here for the right reasons, y'all.
And what did you think of the season trailer the extended season trailer that they played at the beginning and then they played at the end, I believe, too?
So I just want to say that I have studied this. I was with Reddit people studying the promo, trying to figure out if I could see any clues of who's getting far, who's, you know, what it means. And I'm not sure if it qualifies as spoilers because it's in the promos. But if you think so, then just, like, skip a little bit to the very end and I'll put a little timestamp thing. But from the promos that they showed, one, unfortunately, I don't think John's getting far, which freaking sucks, and I'm very confused about that. Two, I severely underestimated Justin. I think this guy's going to be here for a while. Shocked. Like, truly shocked. Like, nowhere on my radar of, like, maybe I wrote down top 8, but I don't even think so. But good for him, because I like his pen game or whatever. His vibe, his flow, his painting. I just feel like it looks so clear that it's Greg. So I'm like, it can't be Greg. Right? Is it that easy?
He was the first impression person, and those do tend to go very far in the Bachelorette world. I will say we saw Blake in the trailer, yes, and it seemed like he was very much getting the Nick Viall treatment from the other men in the house. So I am...
Including a visit from Nick Viall.
Right. I caught that too. I was like, so Nick Viall's coming for this? Okay.
Right.
But yeah, I'm curious to see when he comes in.
Mm-hmm. I hope it has to be within, if it's not next week, it needs to at least be, like, teased, like him walking in at the end of next week. Because if not, then it's like, why did you show it to us this early like this, you know?
Right. Exactly.
But I do think that, I still feel like, yeah, they'll hit it off. I think chemistry-wise, and because of, like we said before, Blake seems like he's a people pleaser, or he'll just, like, mold himself to be whatever his partner needs him to be. And then it'll work.
You nailed it.
So...
he's a shapeshifter.
A shapeshifter. That's pretty much it in terms of thoughts. Do you want to share, if you want to revisit your top 4 of, like, oh, who you'd like to put in there now? Who you do put a wild prediction of who you think wins, maybe?
Okay. Let me pull up this cast really quick.
Please do.
You know, I obviously am going to alter this because I originally said I thought Marcus was going to be in my final 4.
Yeah, Hunger Games canon. This guy's gone.
Marcus, call me number one. Kidding, I won't.
Sorry, Miss DMs.
Here is who I think. I'm really sad that John's not going to make it. You know, that we think. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. They could be really hiding because, like, do you remember Ari's season with Lori? I had no idea who this chick was until
she was in the background.
Possibly the last 3 episodes, and she made it to the top 2. So it wasn't even like, oh, she didn't win. And then she ended up, they're married now, have 3 kids. So, God, I hope. John, hear a prayer.
I don't know if Final 4. I think Andrew S. is going to go far, which I did not believe before this, which we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Do we think Boxman's going to go far?
No, I don't. I think he's had some dates because he's cute enough. He has stage presence.
Okay. So I'm going to say Andrew S. I'm going to keep Greg, unfortunately. Fortunately, I don't know. I do think he has some staying power. I'm probably going to regret this. I'm going to say Trey goes far. Final 4? Guys, I'm struggling.
Because it feels so odd to put a lot of Black people in the end. Here we are supposed to be celebrating, but I'm like, can I be happy? Do I deserve happiness in this franchise? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm like, there can't be 2 Black people in the end.
Crazy talk.
Okay, Connor B. Catman.
Okay.
So it's Connor B, Greg, Andrew S. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say Trey. We're gonna ride. We ride. Let's go.
Trey Gang. I love him. I think he gives me strong top 6 vibes. Okay. Where I swear this ending is how it's gonna be. I just don't know if I can be serious with him. We have such a good time together, but can we build a future? Can there be more than just laughs? XOXO.
So he's Dean.
Yeah. Okay, so you're right. So that's a top because he was top 4.
He was top 4.
Ooh. Possibilities. No, I think definitely switching out Andrew M. I'm mad that I let your.
See, I didn't even. Man, listen, his intro was good. His limo exit was great. I was like, okay, because he's cute, but then that was like the last time we saw him.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it for him, so I'm gonna swap out my Andrews, going from an Andrew M to an Andrew S. Of course, keeping Greg.
Okay, keeping Greg.
Aaron, I would swap out. I'm going to put. I still have Blake.
Oh crap! I took Blake out of my top 4. I didn't mean to do that.
But let me finish off this bold prediction. And I feel, because it feels so second. I mean, it doesn't feel right. I have a pit in my stomach. But you know what? I'm rooting for everybody Black. And I think Justin, because I said, what the heck? This guy came out of left field, and I'm seeing him getting footage. So I'm assuming, he's going to make it. But, how far? He'll definitely get top 6. But I definitely don't feel that from Aaron anymore, so I have to replace with someone, and I'm going to say Justin.
Okay.
And my bonus prediction of who wins, I refuse to believe that it's Greg. Because it seems too straightforward to me. It's too easy, Nicole. Why would they show? I mean, obviously, Bachelorette, yes, it has a great history of giving the first impression rose and winning. Sure. But the promos, I felt like I was watching a Nicholas Sparks film. They were kissing in the freaking rain?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
You know who else they showed in a lot of the promos, but I don't think is Final 4, was Mike, the Virgin baseball player.
You're right.
Jimmo.
I don't think he'll make Final 4 for that reason. I think that'll be he'll be top 5, top 6, whatever. Yeah. Self-eliminate something. My bold prediction, though, is Andrew S.
Listen, it's Andrew S. gang in here.
A complete 180, people. Last week, if you had asked me for my F1, I would have said Greg.
So you think Andrew S is going to win it all? Wow, bold prediction. I Final Four, yeah, but you're saying okay.
A man straight from Africa. I want it for him. I think the energy, I think the banter, if you want to keep it on the British slang, they've got bants, okay? They are going back and forth with each other. And if I was not so screwed up by this franchise, I would say Greg. But it feels too easy. And this only brings me pain. So I'm going to say Andrew S. But the good news is if it's not Andrew S, then it's Greg, and I'm also equally happy.
Okay.
But that's what I've got for you. I feel sick.
I honestly, watching the trailer, I had the full range of emotions. Like, I was happy seeing Tayshia and Caitlin
Yes.
and Katie together. And then I was like, ooh, drama. And then I was like, ooh, everyone's making out. I was like, cool. And then I was like, they cast a virgin, of course, for the sex positive Bachelorette. I mean, full roller coaster. I was like, we are getting everything.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get a real villain this season, which I welcome.
We did see in the preview, there were like two men yelling at each other.
Yeah, but I'm like, was that just like one argument, or was there, there's
or is Floyd going to be the villain?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think they'll definitely make him to be like the antagonist, but he's not Victoria Larson. He's not a Luke P. He's not someone where they're like, oh, we freaking hate your guts, bro, and we'll never hang out with you outside of this place.
Okay, true.
I think it's more of just like, oh, here's this big misunderstanding, and give us some time on the beach in paradise, and we'll work it out.
I'm excited for the season.
So am I.
Okay, well.
Good things ahead.
Good things ahead. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know who you after watching the first night, who you have in your Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Who you think might win. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or any podcast listening service that you use.
Woo.
Rate, subscribe,
review.
And review. And yeah, I think that's it. Am I missing anything?
No, my last thing is I just want to share, I don't know what we've decided yet podcast-wise, but from this moment on, after I've now shared my thoughts, will be spoiled. Like, I will go into the deep pits of Reddit and look at all of these stories and people looking at Spotify histories and whatever Venmo accounts to figure it out. But I wanted to put a prediction out there without that yet. But because I have no self-control of anything in my life, I will not be able to make it to the end of the season. So I will do, my due diligence here, where I will not share any type of spoiler things like in the main part of our episodes. But if you ever wanted to take those conversations offline, you know where to hit me up in the DMs.
Yes, we are both people that have to read spoilers. So we made an agreement before the season started that we would not read any going into this. And I think we're both going to sign off from this podcast and immediately start looking things up.
Oh,
immediately.
100%. But thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.